While Proposition 8 supporters say they will continue to fight for traditional marriage, they argue another issue is at stake. The court ignored the will of the people, a dangerous event for any democracy. Same-sex marriage is essentially legal now in California, and the media is ablaze with celebrating supporters. But backers of Proposition 8 say the Supreme Court has set a dangerous precedent where the will of the voters no longer matters.
The decision of marriage should be left to the people. When the people validly enact a law to limit marriage to one man and one woman, it should be the people who decide whether that law should be reversed.
My initial reaction was, it's a new kind of tyranny. It's where the courts advocate social justice over social structure and social traditions and standards.
Even Justice Kennedy, who voted to strike down DOMA, sided with California voters who approved Prop 8, stating, quote, "The essence of democracy is that the right to make law rests in the people and flows to the government, not the other way around. The California initiative process embodies these principles and has done so for over a century."
If someone doesn't like a proposition that's passed in the state of California, arguably all they would have to do is find one judge, one federal judge, to declare it unconstitutional, and then get a wink and a nod from the Attorney General and the governor, and it's over. And I think that's a terrible, terrible situation to have for the voters to have their votes count and to have their votes respected in the proper system.
It will take at least 25 days before the Supreme Court's ruling becomes official and gay marriages resume in California. If supporters of Proposition 8 ask for a rehearing, then gay marriages may still be barred beyond the 25-day period. And joining us now from Washington, D.C. in our bureau is Thomas Peters of the National Organization for Marriage. Thomas, what does the DOMA ruling mean for the states, especially for those that have voted to defend traditional marriage?
Well, first of all, we have to understand that it was a split ruling. The court did choose to strike down Section 3, but it actually arguably strengthened Section 2, which says that states that don't have redefined marriage can maintain their marriage laws against states that have redefined marriage.
Indeed, the court has not established a constitutional right to same-sex marriage. Is this good news?
I think it's a hugely important point to be making. Gay marriage activists did not get what they wanted here. They came into this court saying that in both cases the court would establish a fundamental right to redefine marriage in our Constitution, and the court refused to do so. I think we're going to see in the future that has huge ramifications for the ability of pro-marriage people to defend marriage and state laws.
Thomas, I want to raise another point here. In the Proposition 8 decision, it appears that the voices of 7 million voters who wanted to ban gay marriage have been dismissed. Do you see it that way?
I agree with you. I think it's truly outrageous. I wrote a piece about this yesterday. It's absolutely extraordinary that the Supreme Court would rule that the very people who raised money to put a measure on the ballot, who fought hard to pass the ballot, aren't allowed to defend that law in court when an activist judge tries to strike it down. This has ramifications far beyond the marriage debate, and I think it reminds us that there's more at stake in the marriage debate than simply marriage. This is a fundamental pillar of our democracy, and I think it deserves more attention.
Now, we are being told by the president and others that gay marriage will not be forced on churches. But how will these rulings affect Christians who may disagree with gay marriage out in public?
Well, we have to start with this important point that President Obama has a very, very narrow view of religious freedom, which is not what our founding fathers guaranteed. By saying that you're not going to be forcing pastors to do a same-sex marriage, that implies that Christians only have their rights when they're within their church walls. Christians have the full First Amendment rights to stand for marriage in the public square, in their businesses, out in their communities, in their neighborhoods, in politics. And so I think it's a very dangerous thing to say, well, we're not going to come into your churches, we're just going to force you to keep your faith in them. That's wrong.
Mm-hmm. Real quickly, won't the debate eventually leave the state level again and head back to the Supreme Court, since gay activists argue they haven't achieved full equality?
Well, I think that the legal battle is not over by any means, and I think that these bad rulings the Supreme Court laid down yesterday will ultimately have to be revisited and overturned. So yes, that's part of our legal strategy moving forward.
I want to talk to you more about the media and gay activists real quickly here. The media and gay activists say this is all about equality and that anyone should be allowed to love whomever they want. Is this a valid argument?
Well, there's more involved in marriage than simply love. Government is not in the love business. I don't need the government to tell me who I love or who my best friend is or what my favorite flavor of ice cream is. Why government is involved in the marriage business is because marriage is that unique relationship which could result in a child, and that child deserves to have a mother and a father. And so arguments about equality and love, while interesting and important, as soon as you define the terms, you see that marriage actually values the equal contributions of mothers and fathers. It's as simple as that.
All right, Thomas Peters of the National Organization for Marriage, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.